I'm very blessed on one hand because not many 18-year-olds, very, very few, in fact, get the opportunity to take on a very integral role at a large company. But on the other hand, you want to talk about being thrown into the fire and having to figure it out. It puts a lot of stress and pressure on you, and that was something I wanted to keep from the boys. I didn't want it to affect their relationships. I think it's been a source that is really, I'm sitting here 30 years old, still single to this day, have always had some issues with my relationships. A lot of that's self-induced, and I'll admit that, but a lot of it is because there is so much stress and pressure on me from working in the business and knowing all of these high importance situations. And so I wanted to keep that off their backs.
Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers? Hello, Amanda.
Hi, B. Hi, Cocktailor. So, big news today. Last year we shared that...
Last week.
Did I say last year?
Yes. It's the summer. We don't know what's going on.
Seriously. We shared that we are really enjoying the McBee Dynasty on Bravo. It's the second season, but it was new to us. So B reached out to Stephen McBee Jr. and asked if he'd like to come on the podcast. So we're very, very excited to chat with him. The McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys, is a Bravo Peacock reality series that chronicles the high-stakes life of the McBee family on their Missouri cattle ranch and farm. It shows us the hard work and the heartache of agriculture, the intense family drama of which the four sons are constantly talking about who is best to run the operation, plus, of course, the ups and downs of their love lives. Welcome to Stephen McBee.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited. Many fans remember you. So when I first started posting about the McBee Dynasty and when Amanda and I spoke about it last week on the podcast, a lot of fans reached out and remembered you from Joe Millionaire, which you started in 2022, was it?
Yeah, filmed in 21, aired in January of 22.
And you met your on and off girlfriend, Kala. I believe you're off with her right now. We'll get into that. But I think our first question, I would imagine it's hugely different being a contestant or starring on a dating reality show and now being on a reality show with your entire family, all the dynamics of your work, home, the farm. How has the Bravo cameras entering your life changed family dynamics?
Well, you're right. The whole dynamic of the show from Joe Millionaire to this show, it's so much more comfortable being around my family, around my home environment. On the dating show, I was away from my family, didn't have my phone for 6 weeks, was staying in a random house in Georgia. So that was completely different. But as far as, the family dynamics with my family now that we have cameras in and around the office, in and around our homes, honestly, it's not any different. What you see on TV is exactly who we are every single day as a family, throwing little jabs at each other, getting in little fights. But at the end of the day, no one has each other's backs like our family does. And we stick together through anything and everything.
That's interesting. So you're saying that it is more comfortable filming the McBee Dynasty than when you filmed Joe Millionaire? By
far, not even a comparison.
I like that. It shows that you guys aren't really scared of the cameras. You're in it.
Yeah. I mean, at the start of season 2, it maybe took a week of the cameras being back in and around our environment for us to settle in. But pretty soon, I know it sounds weird to say when you have 3 or 4 cameras, a sound crew, an audio, lighting crew, there's 10 people in any given room at any given time filming and operating. You forget they're even there. It's strange to say, but it's true.
When was season 2 filmed?
We started in late July, and we filmed through my brother's wedding, which was October 19th. Of last year.
Okay, got it.
Amanda, you sound low to me.
I know you sound low to me as well. We can fix it in post. As long as you can hear me, we're good.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so Stephen, we're curious. The last episode, so Kala comes back from Dallas after she kind of left in a huff you told her that you told the family that she would be attending the gender reveal party. Then they all seemed surprised to see her. So what happened with that situation?
Kala and I that was a really tough time period. You know, Kala had just lost her sister tragically a couple months prior to that. And what you don't see on the episodes is the context surrounding that situation. So you have where I told my family not to talk to Kala, like there's this big fight between all of us. What you don't realize, or what we didn't have time to really showcase, was that happened 24 hours before her sister passed. There was this big blowout between my family and Kala. It had come to a head where Kala was calling my family hillbillies. They were fighting back and forth, and I finally said, just stop talking to each other. Every time you guys communicate, it ends up in a fight. Just stop. Let's just cool off for a bit. And then the next day, her sister passed. And so the timing was awful, and it seems horrible on TV, and I know it does. And in retrospect, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. My family would absolutely reach out to Kala if they could do it all over again. But at the time, that fight had just happened. And so they didn't know, like, if we reach out to her, is she going to blow up on us because this all just went down yesterday, this big blowout. And so that was a lot of the dynamics around that whole situation. But with Kala coming back from Dallas, she had gone down there to find an apartment or a house that she was going to be looking at living in. She came back. She had been living with me in Kansas City. Like, even if we were broke up, I wasn't just going to leave her stranded in Kansas City. I still love her to this day and care about her as a person. And I wasn't just going to leave her on an island by herself in Kansas City with no one around. So I said, hey, I know we're not together, but like, I still want you to be around. I still enjoy you. I still love and care about you as a person, no matter what. So why don't you just come up and hang out? Like, we'll just be friends, and we'll just try and make this like no drama. All of my family, like, we'll just try and have fun together.
That is very interesting. That wasn't shared with the audience, because that kind of changes even the situation where you picked up second season and you guys are in the kitchen talking and she's saying how your brother's girlfriends didn't reach out. It's very different now knowing that it all happened immediately, like the next day after
24 hours. Yeah.
So the girls were probably like, and then when time, they probably were like, okay, well, she definitely doesn't want to hear from us. And then some time passes and they're like, well, now if we reach out, it's even worse because we didn't reach out. Yeah. So I see her side being hurt over them not reaching out, but I also see the timing and how that would have affected their decision to reach out.
Yeah, I mean, from an audience perspective, not knowing that background, you know, the girls are getting some pretty serious negative comments, and I understand it. If I was an audience watching this show and I'm like, who doesn't reach out to even their brother's ex-girlfriend after her sister passed? All that had just happened 24 hours prior. So it was a very, very tough situation, timing-wise.
And nobody really knows exactly what to do when someone has experienced death or a great loss in their family. It always feels like you're second guessing anything you do because you don't want to intrude, but you want to be supportive. I can see how that would have happened.
Yeah, and my family will tell you, like, they were in the wrong. If they could do it all over again, absolutely, no matter what had happened, they would have reached out. My mom, so a little bit more backstory. So Kala and I had broke up that day before her sister passed. I came to the farm. Kala stayed down at my condo in Kansas City. This would have been a Thursday that her sister passed. Kala had a flight booked to Dallas that next morning, that Friday, to go down and look at apartments, stay with her family. We were broken up. That Thursday night, literally the night before she was leaving for Dallas, her sister passed. So I'm up at the farm. I get the call from Kala. This is all going down. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, because my mom's down in the city. I'm like, you got to get over to the condo. Like, Kala's sister, something just happened. You got to get over there. My mom was the first person over there to console her and be with her. I raced down from the farm down to the city. So my mom and I were there that night. But as far as the girls, like Allie and Casey, they were up at the farm and they did not reach out to her directly. So, but again, if they would change that in a heartbeat, looking back on it, they feel horrible about it.
That makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe when you were on Watch What Happens Live and we've heard that you and Kala are broken up. Is that still the case? I know it's very off and on, so.
Yeah, no, we're broken up, and I'm sure y'all probably seen that Kala and I were together in LA probably 2 weeks before the first episode dropped. We were doing press together. Still have a tremendous amount of love and respect for her. You know, even though we've gone through some pretty tough situations publicly, still care about her so much. And we were together in person and did fine together. But yeah, we are broken up.
So when you have a reality show, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously it's authentic because it's your family. So now you have a person who's a reality star via you and your family and your business. So what does that look like if she wanted to continue the show?
It's still up in the air. Calla has been such a pivotal part of every single. We've done 3 seasons together now between Joe Millionaire and 2 seasons of McBee. When we were out there in LA, we were having discussions of like, hey, what would this look like moving forward? Like, it's the McBee Dynasty, but Calla's been an integral part of this. And so
Right.
I don't really know what the answer to that is. If there was still for future seasons, if Calla was going to be a part of the network wanted Calla to be a part of it. Like I said, I still want to see her be successful, and no matter what, beyond anything with our relationship. So I'm all about it if it helps benefit her and she has interest in it.
I think it would also bring a lot of natural drama. Amanda and I are reality television experts, self-anointed. And so now you have your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it looks something like her having an apartment downtown, right? And dating. And now you're dating. And now they set you up. Like, they may want to do that to you, Stephen. I'm giving you a heads up.
I'm mentally preparing for future seasons. If I walk into a restaurant in Kansas City on a date, that I'm going to see Calla and some random guy in the corner. I know. I'm ready for that.
Okay. All right.
So can we ask you if you are currently dating?
Yeah, I've gone on a few dates, nothing serious, no relationships or anything like that, but just casual dating, out to dinners. It's tough for me. Like right now I'm at my farm and I've been staying at my farm most of the time and I am way out here in the middle of nowhere. I laughed about it on Joe Millionaire and I said, if you hop on a dating app and you like expand the radius of what you're searching for, usually the radius goes out to like 100 miles. If you do that from my farm, you're still not in any sort of civilization, like big city or town even. It's few and far between up here. So it's usually just me and my dog at night.
So can you tell us a little bit about how the show got started? Because it's a very interesting premise that, at least on Bravo or Peacock, we haven't really seen. And so who showed interest in a reality show of your family? How did it all happen?
So this would have been 2019, 2020. Yellowstone was really taken off. And we had so many different people reaching out to us because of our farming operation. There was a lot of similarities, a lot of correlations between our farm and Yellowstone. You have my brother Jesse, who literally looks like a spitting image of Casey Dutton. I fly the helicopter. Obviously, the helicopter is a big part of Yellowstone. John Dutton is like this big patriarchal figure, and my dad is the same way, just a giant personality, kind of the patriarch, and he has all these sons that are working in the family business. So there's just a lot of similarities. So we were hearing that a lot. And then whenever I got cast on the dating show, we brought the top 6 women back to the farm for like the hometown visits, and every single producer that was here for those hometown visits was like, your family is a walking, talking reality show. We have to get this going. And word spreads fast. Like, you would think the world of reality TV is big, but it is a very, very small world. Everyone knows everyone. So once word started spreading back in Hollywood about my family and what we have going on out here in the farm, we had a bunch of different production companies reaching out to us to shoot a pilot episode. Ended up going with Jeff Jenkins Productions just because of the track record of Jeff Jenkins and the trust we had with talking to him, and Russell, who is another executive producer over there. And so shot a pilot episode, sent it off to the networks, and we were lucky enough to have several different networks that wanted to pick it up.
Who was the most resistant in your family?
The girls. So like
girlfriends.
Yes. And my mom wasn't even on season 1. Like
Right.
she wanted nothing to do with it. She is very introverted, very private person. So she wanted nothing to do with it season 1. And then Allie and Casey really weren't interested. Calla wanted to just because she had been on a reality show. And then my brothers and my dad were all about it.
We're thrilled to meet your mom this season. We're loving her. So it was hard to convince her. Do you think the fact that your dad wasn't filming this season made her more willing?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that she definitely would have been a little more hesitant to film if my dad was around, just because she doesn't want to go back into that drama piece with my dad. She still has to deal with a lot of drama off camera and just in normal everyday life with him. So she doesn't want to put that on camera. So I think that definitely helped. And the fact that in season 1, there was a lot of comments about Galena being our stepmom and our mom. And yeah, I think that made my mom a little upset. She's like, oh yeah, I want people to know.
So you said that actually on the show, and then you just said that again. So I want to know a little bit more. When you say your mom has had to deal with some of the fallout of some of what your dad, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City's a small market, so whenever you have a situation where, a bigger business guy, has a highly announced divorce, they had a giant house in the city, even though he was up at the farm. So, like, you had all this rumors and gossip spreading around in Kansas City, and then my mom ended up taking over one of my dad's companies, and there was a lot of fallout there. So there was just a lot of drama that my mom has spent years trying to get past and just get back to like this really consistent, like very non-roller coaster ride of a life, because she just doesn't live the drama life. And so she got past all that. And so the last thing she wanted to do was be on camera with my dad revisiting that.
I'm loving my Caraway cookware set. I'm a one-pot meal kind of mom during the week. Caraway bakeware, I can easily make sheet pan meals. One pot, the whole meal, the easiest clean ever. Caraway's ceramic cookware is free from toxic materials including PFAS, PFOA, PTFE, lead, cadmium, and other harmful chemicals for guilt-free cooking. Here are some scary but true statistics. The average adult unknowingly consumes over 150,000 plastic particles every year. Over 70% of cooking and baking pans sold in America are coated with PTFE, a harmful chemical. 2.5 minutes is all it takes for a PTFE-coated pan to overheat and begin releasing toxins. Microwaving plastic for 3 minutes can release over 4 million microplastics. If you have been eyeing Caraway's famous 12-piece cookware set, now is the perfect time to buy. You can shop Caraway risk-free. Enjoy fast, free shipping, easy returns, and a 30-day trial. Plus, if you visit caraway.com/gossip, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners. Go visit carawayhome.com/gossip or use code GOSSIP at checkout. Caraway, non-toxin cookware made modern.
Cocktailers, we spend so much time caring for the skin on our face, but what about our neck? And with summer in full swing, your neck and chest are more exposed than ever. Whether you're rocking sundresses, swimsuits, or strappy tops, your neck is out there for the world to see, and it's one of the first places to show signs of aging. This is 100% my experience because I'm wearing the tanks and the swimsuits. One of the first things we see is that neck and décolletage, I don't know how you say that, area. Because now that I'm in my 40s, I'm really seeing signs of aging there. And I got to tell you, I'm not too happy about it. So I'm pretty happy to have some help. That's why Go Pure Beauty created their revolutionary Tighten and Lift Neck Cream, perfect for your summer skincare routine. Powered by clinically proven active ingredients, this advanced formula is designed to visibly firm, smooth, and rejuvenate the delicate skin on your neck and chest in as little as 4 to 8 weeks. I'm excited because Go Pure Beauty approached us and asked us to take a 21-day challenge. I'm currently about halfway through the challenge, and I just use a little raspberry-sized amount, put it on my neck and chest, morning and night. Super easy to use. We've still got a lot of summer to go, so now is the perfect time to try it. Go Pure's Firming Complex targets the unique concerns of the neck while nourishing and strengthening your skin for a more lifted, youthful look, so you can feel confident showing a little more skin this summer. For a limited time, Cocktailers get 25% off Go Pure with code GOSSIP at checkout. Get the summer glow up you deserve with Go Pure. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code GOSSIP at checkout. Just head to gopurebeauty.com, GOPUREBEAUTY.com, and use code GOSSIP, and you're all set. after you buy, please do us a favor. When they ask you where you heard about Go Pure, tell them it was from Cocktails and Gossip, please.
Can I ask a question? Because it wasn't really clear.
Mhm.
I get the sense that your father was a cheater throughout their marriage. Was Galena like the straw that broke the camel's back for their marriage, or was she after they had already split up?
Yeah, she was the straw that broke the camel's back. Mhm.
Interesting. Her saying she would never do what Masha did, but yet she did.
We call that living in the land of delusion. And I love Galena. She lives in the land of delusion a lot, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah. Oh, I have.
We have some questions about her we'll get to in a minute. But while we're on the topic of moms, we love Tessa.
Yes. Tessa's amazing.
A gem. I think one of our cocktailers said she's a national treasure. Has she gone on to Nashville to record her songs yet?
Yes, she has. So I'm not sure if that makes season 2. Candidly, I haven't watched all the episodes of season 2. So now I'm going to be watching with the viewers as each episode airs. I haven't seen the rest of them. But yeah, she did go down to Nashville. She finished up her album. So interested to see when that releases and if it makes part of season 2. Fingers crossed it does.
That's amazing. I hope she has success with that. She is such a sweet woman. And it seems she's been in your lives since you guys were babies or even before you were born?
Yes. Yeah. If there's anyone that we consider a second mom, it's Tessa. And we can even say that to my mom because my mom loves Tessa to death too. So Tessa's been around the farm since I was 9 years old. So almost as long as I can remember, she's been around. She started off as she would come over and cook for like whenever we have a bunch of customers from our other businesses up to the farm to hang out. She would cook all the dinners and entertain and sing and just do everything. And since then, she's transitioned into more of like working in the business. She started fueling up all the guys in the tractors. We called her Fuel Gal. And now she works at the meat facility as the retail, like the frontline worker for all the new customers coming in. So it's pretty neat.
She's amazing.
She is
truly, and her energy just like radiates through the screen.
That is her 24/7. Like there's a couple people that are like, oh, the accent is so fake or like the energy's fake. That's Tessa at 5 a.m. or at midnight after all day of work. Like that is who she is.
And listen, your job, your company, it's so big that you can see how stressful that would be. And to have this positive energy around you all the time, it must be amazing.
It's good. We call her, she wears a lot of hats around the farm, but one of which is we call her our full-time psychiatrist or full-time therapist, because when the guys are working long hours out in the fields and they're exhausted and they've been running 7 days a week for 12 to 14-hour days, Tessa will come out there as a ball of energy while she's filling up their tractors, help them talk about life, what stresses they're facing. Like they all leave in a better mood after talking to Tessa.
She's kind of like your guys' chief of staff.
Yes, very much so.
We just promoted her.
That's right.
So this season, actually the most recent episode, we saw that only you, Galena, and your mom were aware of your dad's legal troubles. So I saw in your face the panic, and then you shut your door. And of course, at this point, you've been on reality TV long enough to know, like, okay, we're going to have to address this in confessionals now. And I guess we can blame Galena for this, right?
Yeah, that was something, obviously us three knew about it. I didn't know whether to bring it up or not. That was one of those things where I was struggling to really think. We said we were going to showcase everything on reality TV, and for the most part, we had up to that point, aside from that situation. And whenever Galena brought it out to light, I was like, there's no putting that can of worms back in. I guess we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably, listen, unfortunately, a blog like myself would have picked it up. Like, it was going to get picked up.
It's public knowledge, yeah. I mean, it was going to get out there.
And I think I have to tell you, what we're loving and what viewers are loving is that you guys really are authentic. If it would have gotten picked up after the season wrapped and it wasn't addressed, I think it would have been bad for the success of the show, because we would all say like, well, I guess it's not so authentic.
Yeah, in hindsight, I'm actually happy that it got picked up during the show because it also allows us to showcase, like, I feel like if it would have gotten brought up in blogs post airing the show, people wouldn't think that we were taking it as serious as we are. They'd have been like, they just filmed the show and then they have this investigation going on. Like they must think they're bigger than the law, or, they don't even care about it. No, this situation has kept us up for, a year and a half now. Every single night, it's all we can think about. And so now we get to showcase that through these episodes. You get to see the real stress and pressure we're facing. So I think it does a good job of showing, like, yeah, we're pretty humble about this because it's a life-altering situation.
What was your brother's reaction to you knowing and not sharing with them? Do they kind of expect that as the eldest brother, that you will oftentimes protect them from things? And this was another situation like that? Were they upset with you? Were they just shocked?
Yeah, they weren't upset at all. And you'll get to see it as it plays out and me telling the boys here in future episodes. But it was something, I've done this my entire life. When I was 18 years old, essentially right out of high school, my dad kind of threw me into the business and said, here you go. And I'm very blessed on one hand because not many 18-year-olds, very, very few, in fact, get the opportunity to take on a very integral role at a large company. But on the other hand, you want to talk about being thrown into the fire and having to figure it out. It puts a lot of stress and pressure on you. And that was something I wanted to keep from the boys. I didn't want it to affect their relationships. I think it's been a source that is really, I'm sitting here 30 years old, still single to this day, have always had some issues with my relationships. A lot of that's self-induced, and I'll admit that. But a lot of it is because there is so much stress and pressure on me from working in the business and knowing all of these high importance situations. And so I wanted to keep that off their backs. And so that's what I tried to do with this situation. And then when they found out, I think for them, it made a lot of sense because I'd been on edge for months. Little situations were setting me off. I was freaking out a lot more. Like, you could just see the stress in my eyes. And I could see that they were wondering, like, why is this little situation? Like, why is he freaking out about this little ordeal? And I'm like, it's not the little ordeal. It's knowing what we have going on in the background on top of this little situation that just came up. And so for them, it was like an aha moment, like, oh, this is why Steven's been on edge over the last 6 to 8 months.
And how is your dad doing these days?
He's good. That man is the most positive, optimistic person I have ever met in my entire life. If there was anyone that could deal with a situation like this and still find ways to make lemonade out of it, it would be my dad. So he's looking at it saying, we've got so much good happening in our lives. We've got the 2 new grandbabies. Like, there's so many good things happening right now. Let's focus on that. Let's not focus on this, this cloud that's hanging over us right now. We can't do anything about it right now anyways. We're just going to have to play the cards we're dealt, essentially.
Well, succession and whose role has been a big theme on the show. So how is this situation affecting everything? Has it made you split up the workload a little differently because you have the car washes, the farm, the meat company?
Yeah, we have 300 rental homes in Kansas City. We have a home building business. Like, we've got 7 or 8 big companies, and a lot of those aren't showcased in the show just because it'd be mass confusion trying to showcase everything. But yes, so you'll get to see through the rest of season 2. Essentially, going into season 2, it was like, okay, Steven's going to run everything. Very quickly realized that was not going to be realistic. And so we start working together as brothers to take on the roles that we feel like we're strongest at. And we all fall into our little niches of the business where we think we have the best capabilities. And you'll get to see that through the rest of season 2.
Love it. Now we have to touch on the Galina and Masha of it all.
Oh, yeah.
I take it you boys are used to your father doing these sort of things, but this just is downright insane.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because Galina is she the CFO of your company?
Yeah, she's the CFO and she's a part owner in the car washes and a couple of the other businesses.
And so when you first realize things with Galina are starting to unravel, was there a moment or a red flag where you were like, how are we going to contain this from affecting our business?
Well, you can see it as, you've seen it in the first 3 episodes. Like, it's like Galina's spiraling down. And you just got to watch the rest of season 2 because I would like to say this is the end of the Galina crash outs. Nowhere near. So, yeah, season 2 was a rough time for Galina. And I see so many people, and I understand it, again, from their perspective. They're like, you got to get rid of Galina. Like, Galina was the one that turned your dad in. She was the one that was sending information to the FBI. No, Galina is the hardest worker I've ever met in my entire life. I met her in 2016, 2017, whenever she started coming in as an outside consultant into our businesses. Now, I did not know my dad was sleeping with her. So I formed this friendship with Galina, seeing how hard she worked, seeing all of this happen. Didn't know that she was sleeping with my dad until 2020 or 2021. So by then I already have this established relationship. She's already a part owner in the business. It was okay, on one hand, this woman just literally was the straw that broke the camel's back of my parents' marriage. But on the other, I know she's a good person. I know for the most part, she's a great person. She does extremely valuable work for us. And I've worked with her day in and day out for 3 or 4 years now. And she's just done such a crazy amount of work. She's so loyal to us boys, would do anything in the world for us boys, that I'm saying, okay, from 2016 to 2023, Galina has been the most important person in our companies. And then the last 2 years, she's had a very, very bad spiral due to my dad's relationship struggles and bringing in Masha. And I understand why she would crash out a little bit, not to the extent that she has and is going to crash out, but I do understand a little bit of the crash out.
Did you guys, who knew about Masha first? You and the boys or Galina?
I think us boys knew about it. We started as boys, we would gossip a little bit whenever it was just us. We're like, hey, we've been seeing Masha at the farm a lot lately. This is kind of weird because it used to be Masha, Galina that would come up to the farm together with Dad. Now it's just Masha coming up here. Is there something going on here? And we know my dad. So we're like, okay, yeah, something seems a little fishy here.
So during the crash out periods with Galina, did it make you question whether mixing family business with the love interest was a good call on your dad's part?
Yeah, we've known the answer to that. We don't question it. We know it's a bad idea and have known.
He's the boss, so you guys are just here we go. I mean, you kind of have to buckle in and just deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? There's so many people that are the boys need to take over and kick the dad out. You can't do that. So, you kind of have to, we've had some very, very blunt conversations with my dad, but at the end of the day, he's going to make his own decisions, and we just kind of have to roll with the punches.
Just as an outsider, I have to imagine that Galina is brilliant because she was able to convince your father that she should own 10% of his company.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that he signed that off and then realized.
And I signed off on that too. That was me saying, yeah, the work she provides is worth 10%.
And you felt like you had to give her that rather than lose her as an employee. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's what you guys were faced with. Nobody gives up a percentage of an established company otherwise, right?
Correct.
So I just have to say, as a viewer, it is clear as day, and I know we said she lives in delusion, but your father basically says to everybody he meets, I was married for many years. That didn't work out, so nothing's ever going to work out, and I am single. And
yeah,
if I hook up with somebody continuously, that's fine, but I'm not exclusive with anybody, and I won't be. I mean, he says it.
Right or wrong, the man is honest whenever it comes to that. He's very upfront about that. You can judge him personally on, his viewpoints on that, but at least he's honest, and there is no denying, if you ask anyone that knows my dad or anyone that knows that situation, they will tell you every single time we are around my dad, he is very upfront about this same thing. I was married for 25 or 28 years. I will never do that again. I am not going to be exclusive with anyone. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life with my pug Gunner and myself. That's what he says.
And that still applies to Masha.
Yes.
Because Masha's young.
Yes.
I'm in my head going, this woman could pop out a child.
You got to watch the rest of season 2 because I hope they put this in there. Again, I haven't watched it. There were some very interesting conversations being had during season 2 about that exact thing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, of course, we don't want to get into spoiler territory, but is Galina still working for the company?
Yeah. And you'll see it on her social media, so there's nothing to really hide. Galina's still around, but it was rough. They're filming season 2, those conversations where I'm Galina, I have defended you almost to the death of me to everyone, including my younger brothers. I can't keep doing this if you keep crashing out this bad.
And it's not only to your father, because we see that the tornado that ran through the lodge just so happened to happen during Cole and Casey
Gender reveal.
Gender reveal. And obviously, Galena knew that was taking place. I'm sure she's not welcome if your mom's there. So she probably was also pissed, which she can't say, that your mom was filming this season because season 1, she was at all these events and you and your brother would say it like, she's not normally at these events. Like, my mom's normally here. So the viewer can surmise from that, okay, because mom's not filming, Galena gets to go to these family events. And so she's mad. Your father's away with Masha. You guys are all together celebrating the gender reveal. She's left out. So what does she do? Let the chickens out and mess up your dad's house.
You are spot on with that line of thinking.
Do you think she would have done it if the cameras hadn't been rolling?
Done that to the lodge?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That was like the 4th or 5th time. Yes, that's we talk about it in Cole and I's podcast. We say it's weird that it's become normal to us because it's not a normal situation, but we've become desensitized to it because that's like the 4th or 5th time we've had to go over there and clean up.
It's really wild.
And the
It's
fact
wild.
that you're still able to work with her, because I can't imagine, I can imagine how conflicted and like betrayed to a certain extent you've probably felt by her, because still seeing damage to things on it might not be to your hats specifically, but it still feels, I would imagine, feels really personal.
It's hard because I love Galena. Obviously, I love my dad, like, more than anything. And from an outside perspective looking in, you're like, okay, both these people we love to death. They're both family to us. But my goodness, they are such a train wreck in any capacity personally. Like, it is so hard. Like you said, it's conflicting because you love the person. Professionally, they're great. And then personally, they are just like this tornado.
Yeah. And Galena must be upset that your father's not able to be at the company as much because now she really doesn't get to see him. Because it does border on an obsession, right? Because it is not a mutual relationship. And like, as a woman, I think that's the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around, because we've seen other reality shows and just real life situations where the guy is not faithful, but like lies and says he is and all these kind of things. But in this case, like, he's flirting with these girls. The last episode, she's standing next to him in the bar and a couple of you guys were on FaceTime with the other young girlfriend, Kylie, or whatever her name was.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy is, now I will say there's a couple things that I think Galena just takes little bitty statements that my dad says and runs with them to the highest degree. So there, in season 1, there's a scene where my dad and Galena are sitting on the dock at our lake, and my dad's like, Galena, I will never get married again, but if I did, it would be to you. So like, she takes that and says, okay, like, that's almost like her thinking he's going to be exclusive to me.
Right.
And I think that's what she's like holding on to, maybe.
It seems so. While you guys are filming as a family, because everyone's experiencing this differently with all, with your brother, each of your brothers has their own life and everything that's going on as well. Was there a moment where you or any of your brothers felt this is going way too far? We definitely should not be filming this.
Yeah, there's several situations coming up. Like I was telling a couple different people on Instagram this the other day. They're talking about the Galena situation and just kind of everything that's happening on season 2. And I'm like, yeah, it gets even better or worse depending on how you view it from here on out for the rest of season 2. So yeah, the rest of the season has situations where that exactly happens, where in the back of my mind, as the cameras are rolling and all this is going down, I'm like, man, I know we said we were going to put everything out there for the viewers to see, but I don't know if this was a smart idea or not.
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around so many different personalities. Is there anything during those moments, is there anything that has happened, and I think we know the answer to this, but that has even surprised you or changed your perspective on something?
Yeah. Between my dad, Galena, my brother Cole, even some Callis situations here later on in the season, where I just thought that, there'd be a little bit held back being on camera. And no, they just went all the way out there and either said things or did things on camera that I was standing there going, I cannot believe they're actually doing this right now. But all right.
That's what makes the show good, because these people are all too erratic. Like, I feel like you are a person who could maybe self-produce and keep it calm or keep things a certain way. But then when you have Galena acting nuts, And you have your father. I mean, he's not to be controlled.
No.
And so you, like, I could see you and Jesse sticking to a script, but it's impossible with Cole, Galena, your dad, and then, of course, some of the other people. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes it so authentic and ultimately a good show, right? That we want to watch, that you may not love while you're filming it.
I would agree 100% with that. I think in my head, like you said, I'm almost like, I hate to say it, but I do this in real life too. Like even when cameras are off, like I'm always almost self-producing meetings, or like I try to control situations, narratives, the way things are going. And then you have these loose cannons in my dad, Galena, Calla, and Cole. And in my head, I'm like, that's horrible. This is terrible. But from someone watching the show, they're like, this is awesome that they're letting this out there. Like, it's so, like, unpredictable. And so I guess that's the word, is like, I like to have everything almost predicted. They're so unpredictable, but it makes for great television. It would be horrible if it was just Jesse and I, because everything would be predictable, essentially.
Right. Like the meat delivery that was 2.5 hours late would have never happened if it were you and Jesse and employees, because Galena is a trusted person and decided to go off the rails that day. And is everything okay with that deal, by the way? I was very concerned. Or
yes.
You can't say. Okay.
Yeah. You'll see it as it plays out in season 2. But yeah, everything ends up working out. But yeah, that was, again, I am the most punctual, like, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. It's like something I have held my life to, is like being on time, being prepared for every single situation. So if I was the one that was handling the ETA on what time we were supposed to get there for the meat delivery, I'd have been there 20 minutes early, sitting in the parking lot, had everything organized, ready to go. But I tasked Galena with that, and she went dark for 2 days. Yeah, it was great.
As you look back so far on your experience filming this show, what is your rose? So like, what is the high point? And then what's your thorn? What's the part what do you love? What do you not love as part of this experience?
As far as like specifics in season 2, like what was the high point of the season?
Just your experience so far being on reality television.
Oh, yeah. So by far the coolest part of being on reality TV is we're getting these like 10, 15, 20 years from now, whenever Blair is 10 or 15 years old, we get to go back and watch Casey and Cole pregnant, all of us freaking out saying, man, what's it going to be like to have a baby in the family? We get to watch Jesse and Allie's wedding, like all professionally documented in a reality TV. Like no one gets that. So we get to go back and have these memories for the rest of our lives that we can rewatch, which is really, really cool. And then on the other hand, we get to have some of these memories that we get to go back and watch that is not very, very cool. Like Kyle and I's breakup and some of these situations that are very stressful. I think when we're on down the line, we'll get to look back at like, this FBI investigation and say, man, like we made it through that really hard time. This makes us appreciate life now. But thinking of it right now, it sucks having all that filmed and put out there for everyone to comment and write headlines about, and just try to speculate over what actually happened when they don't actually know. And
that is just one of the downfalls of being on reality, obviously.
Mm-hmm. But you sign up for it though.
That's what I always say. Whenever we gossip on here, I'm like, hey, listen, they signed up for it.
We signed up for it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It was wonderful chatting with you. We love the show. Very excited to see all the crashing out that happened. We're rooting for you. Everyone, you can find Stephen at Stephen McBee on Instagram and the McBee Dynasty on Mondays on Bravo.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. Enjoyed it.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
What's up, cocktailers? Hope you enjoyed the interview with Steve McBee of the McBee Dynasty. He was so adorable in person, Amanda.
He is exactly like over our screens, Zoom, like it's not Zoom that we use, but whatever, similar to it. He's exactly the same as he is on camera, just very engaging, and he definitely has like this little kind of sweet side to him and very honest. I couldn't believe he just answered everything we asked him with no hesitation.
And you know what I realized midway through the interview? As you guys know, Amanda and I don't interview a ton of people because a lot of stars will say, we can't talk about this, we can't. And so by the time you get them on, it's like, all right, great, we could talk about your shoe line. And so it just becomes something that isn't all that interesting and won't be that interesting for you guys, I feel. We never asked him, and he never at any point was like, oh, by the way, this is off limits.
No. Yeah. He took everything in stride. And I think it was helpful that he gave some context about, as we know, they have to edit thousands of hours of tape down to
12.
right? And so not everything gets shown. And so for him to give us a little bit of context around some of the things that were happening, I thought was fantastic. So I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Amanda, what did cocktailers know?
Cocktailers always know BTW. Of course, cocktailers knew that Brock had an affair. We posted it in Cocktail Party last June. We received intel that Scheana had written a book, and in the book, she wrote about the affair that Brock had while she was pregnant with Summer Moon, and that it was going into this upcoming book. So, I just mentioned, we posted in Cocktail Party, which is our members only section, and a couple of months ago, a totally different cocktailer that we got tea from got an early copy of Scheana's book, and says there's a whole section that's redacted. So we reposted the affair blind, and we speculated that chapter was most likely about the affair. And sure enough, this week Scheana came out with this news, did an excerpt in Glamour magazine where she spoke about the affair, and that redacted section was the section of the book that she talks about the affair in that pre-order copy.
And Scheana didn't stop at the Glamour magazine. She is also on the cover of, is it Us Weekly? People? I don't know. She's on the cover. She is dressed like a librarian, looking very stern. She is on a complete press junket about Brock's affair that nobody knew about. So what people want to know, and what Amanda and I are getting on Discord and in the DMs, is why wasn't this discussed on the last season of Vanderpump, when, her and Locke's whole thing was how people not showing their real life, mainly Ariana, and Ariana not filming with Sandoval, and her not discussing it, his affair in depth, and not doing a sit down with him, was going to have their show canceled, and this is how they feed their families and pay their mortgages on their 2 homes, because they both need 2 homes. And so where was Scheana with the storyline? I need to get your opinion on this, Amanda.
Okay. I feel like it does make a little bit more sense now. I think specifically Scheana's anxiety taking front and center during that season where she wouldn't leave Summer and just had this high anxiety. And we know from Scheana in one version that she didn't find out until 2 weeks after Scandal hit, which would have been March of 23, I think, is when Scandal happened. So then she would have found out a couple weeks after that, when Summer was around 2. I am sure a big part of her saw the absolute chaos that Scandal caused and the vilification, rightfully so, of Tom Sandoval, and didn't want that for Brock, because I think she wanted to keep her marriage. So a big part of me wonders, though, if they had come clean on the show, would there have been another season of Vanderpump Rules? And I'm sure Scheana's wondering that too.
If Scheana made the decision not to share it, I have to tell you the truth. I can respect that. We can all sit here and say you should show your real life. That's what we were just applauding Steve McBee and his brothers and father for doing. But as a real person, this is her real life. This is her marriage. She has a child with this man. She wanted to make her marriage work. I can completely appreciate her decision. However, to then turn around and in June of 2024, because we know that's when she was writing the book, and when she wrote that section of the book, we were contacted by a source. So last June, she decided, I'm going to out this affair. Was she looking to cash in late on her Ariana moment? Because at that point, she knew the show was canceled. Was she like, well, since the show's canceled, I got to sell books. I have to get on the Valley full time. We all know the Dancing with the Stars desires. Whatever it was, she made a decision in June of 2024 to monetize Brock's affair. Could it be that originally she wasn't ever going to say anything, and then when Vanderpump got canceled and she wasn't as booked and she wasn't as busy and the checks weren't coming in, she got nervous and felt like, well, you know what? I have this. I could always rely on this affair and bring it out. I mean, it's certainly possible.
Right. And I think that's a good theory. And we have to remember there is a child involved in that. So her decision-making process by nature should have been, and I think it was, different than an Ariana kind of situation. I think time does heal wounds. And so maybe at the time it was too fresh to share. So the original source who told us about this whole situation, the affair that Scheana was writing about it, that source gave us some new intel. So now it says, now that Scheana came out and confirmed the affair, there are some things that are not accurate. Brock did not confess to her about the affair. She checked his phone and found out. The affair was over at that point, but she found evidence in his phone. A friend also told her. The source says, I'm not sure which came first, the friend telling her and her searching his phone, or her finding evidence of the affair and asking the friend. Either way, he did not confess until confronted with the evidence.
I have to say something.
Yes.
Is it possible? You said 2 weeks after Scandival. If you guys remember, after Scandival, there came out a rumor, which none of us believed, that Brock had an affair with Lala. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Scheana, and she even said when she heard it, she thought, oh my God, could Brock do it to me? Do you think that Scheana, a few days after Scandival or 2 weeks after, when Brock was sleeping, picked his phone up and went through to see and was like, oh my freaking God, he did have an affair on me? Like, it could have literally happened because of Scandival.
Well, yeah, because we've heard, because if you guys will remember when we posted about this originally in June, that was the story, is that Scheana found out and confronted Brock. Sheena's story now is that he came to her on his own and that she didn't know, which I'm imagining as they decided as a couple, like, okay, we're going to share this. Let's try to put Brock in as good of a light as possible. So let's change the story a little bit to be that he came to me with this information.
Yeah, certainly. She wanted to package it. Listen, she wants to maintain her marriage, but this is how she makes money and she doesn't have much else going on right now.
Right.
That's really, I mean, it's, and so here's my next question. A lot of people have said, like when we posted it, bullshit, don't believe he cheated. Is there any part of you that thinks that Scheana made this up to sell books or get attention and go on this PR junket?
I believed it happened until the story about how she found out started to change. And that has definitely made me wonder, would Scheana and Brock be capable of making up a story about him cheating to sell more books and get more eyes on them? Absolutely. I just don't think, I think he did cheat. I don't think they would put that out there because they do. They have a daughter and that's going to be out there for life. So do I believe that she changed some of the details around it? Yes. Do I believe that she made the whole thing up? No.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't believe she completely made it up. I don't see why anybody would. And again, we could be naive. I don't believe it. And like for him to agree to it, like it's talk about taking one for the team. He isn't beloved to begin. So yeah, I don't believe. I think there's truth to it. Now it may not have been as big an affair. It may have been a one-time thing. Like it could be, she could be adding to it. And certainly we know that he didn't confess. Like I never really understood that part.
Yeah.
No, I think something definitely went down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So on the Valley this week, Scheana, my BEC, is on and talking to Janet and Michelle and says that Kristen latches on to the popular girl. In my opinion, Kristen is the popular girl. I mean, what do you think about that?
It made me like, I literally paused it and wrote down like must discuss on pod. Because Scheana, this bash session with Janet against Kristen, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Yes. Well, first of all, yes, Kristen is the popular girl. she should be real careful. And I'm talking about Scheana.
Yeah.
Picking Janet is a choice because, my opinion, Janet is not a great reality star. I know you and I disagree. You feel she stirs the pot. I know you're probably going to come back at me for that, but I feel like people don't really like her. And I'm not saying she's definitely going to get cut next season, especially with the confirmation, which cocktailers again knew that Jax is out. We will discuss that. But I do think that she'll fade away. And what I mean by that is that I think they'll have better options for the Valley. My opinion, I think that Janet is a person who will eventually alienate everybody, never really have an interesting enough story to stand on her own. I don't know if I'm wishful thinking or what, but like if I'm Scheana, Kristen Doute is a tried and true reality star. You have a long history with her. So her bashing and going Team Janet is very silly to me. She's picking the wrong team.
Oh, I agree. And to be clear, I do not like Janet. Jason had me fooled a little last season, but now I think Jason is just as bad. But I have thought she was good at pot stirring and not, I did think that Janet kind of was not afraid to kind of bring the drama. But this last episode really crystallized something for me because everybody's having this thought, right? Which is, why is Janet still talking about Danny, even though Danny, Nia, and Jasmine are not only like have worked through it, they've worked through it twice, they're now working together to get the Bucco family a house. So I'm like, read the room, Janet. Like, tell us something interesting about yourself for once.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like Jasmine, which by the way, I had read that Jasmine, I guess, was really seasick on that cruise from hell. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because you see her and she's like, Jasmine's like covering her mouth and like, you don't know if that's like a reaction. And then like, you can almost see her kind of and I'm like, oh, that's why she was so quiet is because she was worried if she opened her mouth, she was going to puke.
Yes, that makes sense.
But Jasmine finally speaks up in her confessional saying, can Janet please stop talking about a situation that is my business and Melissa's business? We don't want her discussing it.
Yeah, it's enough, Janet.
Yeah.
And now she changed her picture to Voldemort.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's like she's trying to act like, I'm in on the joke. You aren't in on the joke, okay? You're so mad. Even when you're getting your tattooed rings, you're talking about how all the comments are so hurtful. Anyway, moving on from Janet. We heard this in May, but it's officially confirmed. Jax will not be on the Valley season 4.
On his show.
This is now the second time he said that and been let go. I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that Jax keeps his nose clean, figuratively and literally, or at least as far as the public is concerned, for a while. I think there's a possibility they throw him on Traitors. I think they put him on season 5, The Valley. And people will say, why? For one, reality TV is more forgiving to male trash. For two, look at all the ways that they've rewarded Sandoval. I just think there are certain people that they feel bring the viewers, and maybe they're right. I mean, they do all their, like, what do they call that? Testing?
Psychological testing? Wait, what testing?
The networks, like, do, like, ratings, like, their Q scores.
Oh, right. Q testing.
Yeah.
Like, where they do the Q scores. Yeah.
And I'm going to say even more. I had a source tell me that they believed that Jax would get some sort of like lump sum to kind of shut his mouth for a while and take his time out. And people want to know why. And there's a variety of reasons why, not the least of which is that they have to make it a safe situation for Brittany or they'll really be on the hook. Right. So I don't see this being a forever thing unless he really goes off the rails and like we're seeing him like coked up and like crazy and Britney's going to magazines and you know what I mean? But I think if he could keep himself under the radar a bit, and I think the true tell to if what I'm saying is true, if we don't hear him come out and slam Bravo, then what I'm saying is true.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I do think too that if, and I don't know that anybody thinks that this is possible, so let me just throw that out there before I even say this. If Jax actually stays sober, you know, stops doing whatever it is that's making him have these rage situations, really shows himself to be there for his child, to be a good co-parent. And, it's a year later, not this BS where he is like, it's a few months after the divorce and he's still raging, but like he actually puts in the time and actually gets better instead of just pretends like he's getting better by drinking vodka and water in glasses at his bar. But if he actually does it and puts in the work, I think people would be interested to see that. And I think there would be some redemption in that for him. But do we think he's capable of it? I don't think so.
And so then the next question is, what does the cast look like next season? Certainly they're bringing people on. Do I think that this whole Scheana press junket helps her with the Valley? Love it or hate it, I think the odds are in her favor for it to help her, because you don't think that the producers are like, all right, well, Sheena's already on the show. She's already friends with the people. We could up her pay and we could hear all about the affair. I think it's likely, guys. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a coincidence because we know they start filming any day now for the Valley because they want to pick back up and get
the babies.
the babies and the Booko's new house and all of that, Kristen as a mom. So
I would love nothing more than if that means Janet gets bumped to friend of. That would be beautiful.
So I think I actually have an opinion that I think is what I think you probably agree with this. I think a lot of people agree with this. Like, part of what we've really liked about the Valley is that there have been new people that have their own stories and have their whole situations. I personally would rather see a gamble get made on people that we have not seen. So no Sandoval, no Scheana, no Lala.
I'm sure Danny and Nia have friends.
Yeah. And
bring them on.
Look at Zach, right? Because like we'd seen Zach in the background for stuff on Vanderpump, like and in Brittany's wedding and all of that. But giving him a platform, like his second season has been awesome for him. Like give somebody else a chance. If Bravo, if you're listening, I don't want to see Sandoval. I just don't care.
Agreed. Hard agree.
Yeah. And Jana and Jason can go. I don't think they're an integral part of this show to me.
That's hard same. Before we sign off, I just want to send our love and support to Denise Richards. I'm not even sure if you saw this, Amanda and I
did.
I did. It is
horrific.
Extremely horrific. I did post, and I want to share here, if you or anyone you know is dealing with domestic violence, you can text BEGIN, capital BEGIN, to 88788 to have some support via text, or you can call 800-799-7233. The photos shared of Denise's face.
It is awful. And
then people write in comments, like I just pulled up TMZ's post and they write, so why didn't she start the divorce? Are people okay? I am so sick of don't be.
Imagine, if you will, a big blow up where this sort of situation happens. You have children. You have a child who has special needs. Like, maybe your first step is not to run to the courthouse. Your first step is to make sure that your children and your family are okay, and yourself, that you're okay.
I just hope that this means that he won't be able to get any alimony. And people point out that there were scenes when she was on Beverly Hills, like there was an instance where he squeezed her hand really hard, and there were just indications that this was happening. So again, all of our love to Denise.
Big hugs to you, Denise.
Yes. I hate to end on that note, but we love you guys. Till next time.
See you next week.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last, but maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great combos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.